Okay, in this class we'll be doing composition of functions and invertible functions. So what are they? So let's go to an example and try to see what the composition of functions mean. Okay, so composition of function is like this. For example, let's consider that you are appearing the class 12 exam. Okay, so you will have let's do something. Let's try to create one picture like this. Okay, so this one. Okay, so you have your names here. Okay, and you will have a roll number. Okay, so this will be done by the board, exam board, BOARD or BORD, I think. So the board or BOARD, sorry, should be BOARD. Okay, anyway, so this will go like this. Okay, so I can make it better. Okay, I'll have this one. Okay, and board will, what they will do is they will put the roll number and they will create one code number. So this is your answer sheet. So you will put your roll number there. Okay, so you will put the roll numbers. Okay, so board will remove this roll number from your notebook and they will put a code number. Okay, what we'll do is, you see here, you consider this thing. I'll consider this thing as a function. This function f, what it does, it changes the roll name to roll number. That thing you know, your roll number you know, the teachers will know, the board will know. And board will do what? They will make one more function, g. What will g does? G gives you to each roll number it gives a code number. So this code number will be here. So they will remove this part of your answer sheet. Only code number will be there. Okay. Now, with your name is mapped to the roll number is mapped to the code number. So basically, you are mapped to a code number. Okay. So basically, what you have is this: you have a map from this roll number to roll number to code number. Okay, so you have a map like this, roll number to code number. So but it is going through what? It is going from roll number name to roll number and roll number to code number. Okay, this is called composition of function. So f is going from name to roll number and roll number to code number. So basically this function from name to code number, it will be denoted by what? GOF. So GOF will be a function from what to what? It will be a function from roll number name to GOF is a function from name to code. So this will be G of F. So this is called, this is what? This is all, this is the composition of function actually. Okay. So by using these two functions, we have created one function whose name I have given as G of F. So why G of F? Because we first apply F to name to get the roll number. Then we apply G to the roll number to get the code number. So therefore it is what? G of F. Okay, first F, then G. We apply first G, F, then G. You can see that. What is the domain of the G of F? It will be the name. It will be the domain of the function F. And what is the codomain? Codomain is the codomain of the function G. Okay. So this is all about the composition of function. Okay. Here is the formal definition of composition of function. Definition 8. Let F is a function from A to B. G is a function from set B to C. Or two functions, you see. Here you see, to have the composition of function, the domain of this, range of this, codomain of this function should be same as the domain of the second function. Okay. So then, composition of function of F and B, denoted by G of F. Okay, it is denoted by what? G of F. Means we are combining two functions and making one more function whose name is G of F. Is defined as G of F is a function from the domain of the first function to the codomain of the second function, A to C, given by G of F is what? G fx for all value of x. Means what? First we will find f of x, then if put the value of f of x here, so f of x will be value of will be a point in B. So but G is a function from B to C, so we can find out the value of G of this f of x for all x. Okay, so this is like this. F is a function from f is taking x to fx and B is taking fx to G of fx. Okay, so and G of f takes x to G of fx. Okay, so it will be clear from the examples. Let's go to example number 5. So see, in this example, f is a function from 2, 3, 4, 5 to 3, 4, 5, 7, and G is a function from 3, 4, 5, 7, 9 to 7, 11, 15. You see, this codomain of the first f is equal to domain of the G. So this is first necessary. Then only we can define G of f. Okay, you can, and defined by f of 2 is 2, G of 3 is 4, f of 3 is 4, and all these values are defined like this. So we have to find G of f. So to find G of f, G of f will be a function from the set f, this 2, 3, 4, 5 to what? 7, 11, 15. Okay, so G of f of 2, what will be that? That will be G of f of 2. Okay, this is the definition. Now what is f of 2? You see, f of 2 is 3, so this will be G of 3. But what is G of 3? G of 3 is 7, so this is 7. So therefore basically G of f of 2 is 7. Similarly, you can find G of f of 3, which will be G of f of G f3. But what is f3? You can see f3 is again f3 is 4, so you put 4. But what is G of 4? G of 4 is 7, so G of 4 is 7. So basically G of f of 3 is 7. Similarly, you can find G of f of 4, which is 11. G of f of 5 is 11. Okay, now here we have a function from R to R. F is a function from R to R. G is a function from R to R. So you see, domain range are both are same. Therefore, we can find out G of f and f of G. Okay, G of f or f of G. F of G. So fx is given by what? Cos x, and gx is what? X 3x cubed. So we'll see what will be G of f. G of f of x. So G of f of x is G of fx by the definition. Now you put the value of fx. So what is fx? It is cos x. Cos x. Now what is G of x? Gx. Gx is 3x cubed. So whatever inside this bracket, so we have to what? Multiply that thing by 3 and square it. Okay. So here inside the bracket you have cos x. So you have to multiply this cos x by 3 and square that thing. Okay, so therefore 3x cos x square. So it is 3 cos x, 3 cos square x. Okay, so this is the notation from trigonometry, so you know that. Similarly, if you have to find f of g of x, so f gx. So what is gx? Gx is 3x cubed. So you put 3x cubed here. Now, what is f of 3x cubed? X squared. So 3x squared. You can see f of x is cos x, means whatever it is there inside the bracket, you have to put a cos here. So this is cos x. So here you have 3x squared. We are going to be cos 3x squared. Okay, and you can note that 3 cos square x is not equal to cos 3x squared. Okay, they are not equal. Therefore, you can see that for not x equal to 0, it is the same as it is not, as this value is not equal to 0. At x equal to 0, it is not equal, because cos 3x square will be what? Cos 0. So cos 0 is 1, but here 3 into cos square x. Cos x is 0, so this will be 3. So 3 equal to the left hand side will be 3, right hand side will be 1. So hence they are not equal. Therefore you can see that for f of z is not equal to g of f is not equal to f of g in general. It's almost not equal. Okay, sometimes it is equal. Okay, so we'll see when they are equal or not. That's the question number example number 17. So you have a function from r minus 7 by 5 to r minus 3 by 5. So this is a function from the set of real number excluding 7 by 5 and to the set of real number excluding 3 by 5. Mane ki that r of is 7 by 5 to apply this is dominant or codominant 3 by 5 to 9. Okay, the function is given by this. Okay, and g is a function from the set r minus 3 by 5 to r minus 7 by 5. So g is given by this. Okay, so then we have to show that g of f is ia and g of f is ib. Okay, so where a is this set, okay, and b is this set. What is ia? Ia means identity for the set A. Ib is what? Identity for the set B. What is identity? Identity function means for every x belongs to A, the value will be x. For every x belongs to A, value will be x. For x belongs to B. Okay, this is the identity function of two sets. Okay, A and B respectively. So they are very identity means x goes to s, 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 2, 3 goes to 3, like that. Okay, so now we have to find what is g of f. G of fx, so you can see g of f will be what? G of fx. It should be g of fx actually. Okay, so g of fx. So you just put this value. First you have to put the value here. Okay, now you can see. Let's have these questions first, so that will be better actually. It should be very visible, right? Okay, 1 minute. Okay, so it should be g of fx. So fx is what? You can see fx is 3x plus 4 by 5x minus 7. So you put the fx here. Now you have to find g of this term. So g of this term will be what? G of x is 7x plus 4, 5x minus 3. So in place of x, I have to put this whole term. So this will be 7, this one, plus 4, 5, this one, minus 3. Then you just simplify this, and you will get this one, which is equal to, at last we got x. So we got that g of fx is equal to fx, which is what? IA, right? Fx from a to b. So IA, got IA. Similarly, we can see that f of g is also IA. It is also same. Okay, first you have f of gx. So f gx is 7x plus 4 by 5x minus 3. Now you have to find the f of that. F is what? 3x plus 4 by 7x minus 5. So in place of x, I have to put 7x plus 4 by 5x minus 3. You put this value, so you get this one, so which is equal to 41x by 41, and which is equal to x. Okay, so similarly, we got that this is equal to I. Okay, now next we have this first example. This example is very important. You just try to see this and try to find try to understand what is this. Okay, so you see here f and g are 1 1, so we have to prove that f of g from a to c is also 1 1. So you see f is a function from a to b, g is a function from b to c. Your g of f will be a function from a to c. B and b are same, so therefore we can define that. Okay, first of all, f will go from a to b and b to c. So you see codomain of a is equal to domain of b. G. Codomain of f is equal to domain of g. Therefore we can define g of f. G of f. Okay. So now to show that g of f is 1 1, so we should start with let g of fx1 equal to g of fx2. That is how we show whether the function is 1 1 or not. So we start this. So our aim is to prove that x1 is equal to x2. So this will be basically g of f of x1 equal to g of f of x2. Okay, from the definition of g of f. Okay, now if as g is 1 1, it is given, so g of some quantity is what? F of x1 is equal to g of f of x2. But g is 1 1, therefore f of x1 will be equal to f of x2, because it is already given this 1 1. If it is 1 1, then it must be equal. Okay, if it is 1 1, it must be equal, because we know that if it is 1 1, it's like this, right? G is 1 1 means what? G of x1 must equal to g of x2. This will imply what? X1 is equal to x2. But in this case, we don't have x1 and x2. We have fx1 and fx2, so we don't care. Whatever is inside this thing, this is the placeholder. Okay. Therefore, if g of something is equal to g of something and g is 1 1, the inside thing inside the bracket, the terms or the quantity inside the bracket must be equal. So therefore they are equal. Okay, so therefore this is the case, so they are equal. Okay, so fx1 is equal to fx2 because g is 1 1, but again f is also 1 1 is given, therefore x1 is equal to x2. Okay, now you see that, so that if f is a function from a to b and g is a function from g to b and they are onto, then g of f from a to c is onto. So this is also very much same. So we have to find out that g of f is onto, means we'll take an element here in C, we'll take one element in C and we'll prove that there is an element in A such that f of that element is, for example, in C we take z. Okay, we'll prove that there is some x such that g of f of x is equal to z. This is what I want to show. Okay, if I can show that, then that will be okay. Okay, so we'll start with this. Let we start with an arbitrary element z belongs to C. Then we know that what z in C, g is an onto function, where therefore there is a pre-image y of z in G. Okay, under G. So we'll call it y. So such that f of g of y is equal to z. Since g is onto, as g is onto, so we have that. Now further, y is in what? B. So y is the element in B. So there will be some x as f is onto, such that f of x is equal to y. Okay. Further, y is a element, y belongs to B, so there exists a x in A such that f of x is y, since f is onto. Now you can see that g of f of x is what? G of fx, but g of fx is what? Y. Fx is y, but f of g of y is what? Y. So this shows that g of f is onto. Okay. So this is the thing. Now you can go through this few examples again. Okay. Consider this composite function. Okay, is 1 1. Okay. If this g of f is 1 1, then are f and g both necessarily 1 1? So this is the question. We have seen that if f and g are 1 1, then g of f is 1 1. Okay, we have seen that. Now in this case we have to see that if g of f is 1 1, whether f and g are 1 1. So you can see from this example that f is a function from 1 2 3 4 5 6 to 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 to 1 2 3 4 5 6, where fx defined is fx is equal to 1 x for all x, and g is function from this 1 2 3 4 5 6 to 1 2 3 4 5 6 with this thing. Okay, now you can see that we can find out the value of all x, okay, belongs to this 1 2 3 4, sorry, not 1 2 3 4, oh yeah, 1 2 3 4 for g of x. Okay, so that will be x only, and you can see that g of x is, this function is 1 1. Okay, because this is a function from this set to this 1 2 3 4 5 6 to 1 2 3 4 to 1 g 1 2 3 4 to 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, and this is 1 1, 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 2, 3 goes to 3 to, and you can see that this is not on, this is 1 1. Okay, but you can see that clearly g is not on what, not 1 1, g is not 1 1. So you can see that g of f may be 1 1 and g may not be 1 1. Okay, it is saying that if g of f is 1 1, we don't need g to be 1 1. It not 1 1 means what? If g of, it is given that g of f is 1 1, it doesn't imply that both f and g are 1 1. Okay, g may be 1 1 in some case, but it is not necessarily that g must be 1 1. Okay, but whenever g and f and g both are 1 1, then f of g must be 1 1. Okay, so in the case of onto also you have same condition. If both f and g are onto, if and only if g of s is onto. Are f and g necessarily onto if g of f is onto? So you can see that this is not necessary. F may not be, f is not onto. Okay, g of f is onto, f is not onto. Okay, so that is the thing. Now we can just go through few notes here. Okay, and you can see that this is the remark which is very necessary for your competitive exams. Okay, whenever you get some entrance, this will be very much necessary. It can be verified in general that g of f is 1 1 implies f is 1 1. If g of f is 1 1, we have seen that g need not be 1 1, but f is necessarily 1 1. F must be 1 1. Okay, there is no other case. Okay, means what? If this g of f is 1 1, f must be 1 1. Okay, f must be 1 1. That is the first thing. Okay, next you can see that for onto also, you can see if g of f is onto, if this is onto, then what happens? G must be onto. Okay, so you can just read this sentence, just this paragraph, and you can just you'll have that. So this example number 22 is one of the important one. So you see f is a function from 1 to 3 to abc, which is 1 1 and on to function. Okay, that's given by these values. Then there exists a function g from a to b, abc to 1 to 3, such that g of f is ix and g of y is iy. So what is ix? Ix means from x to x it is identity function, and where x is 1 to 3, y is abc, and iy means it is a identity function from y to y. Identity function means what? X goes to x. X means each element goes to each element. Okay, so you can just from this one only you can make this up, because f from f what? F takes 1 to a, 2 to b, and 3 to c. So I will make one function which takes a g, so the ga is 1, gb is 2, and gc is 3. Okay, so then you try to compose these two functions f and g, and you will get f of g of f is ix and f of g is iy. Okay, the interesting fact is that the result mentioned in above example is true for arbitrary 1 1 onto function from x to y. Okay, so this doesn't mean that this x set always must be a, b, c, or 1 2 3. It's not required. It can be any x, any capital X and capital Y, for with that they are 1 1 and the function is 1 1 onto, then there exists a g such that g from y to x, such that g of f is equal to f of g. Okay, but they must be 1 1 and onto. Okay, this is the remark. From the above remark we come to this definition. Definition says that if f is a function from x to y, and it is said to be invertible if there exists a function y to x such that f of g of f is x ix and f of g is iy. This function g is called inverse of f, and this is denoted by f inverse. Okay, so this is the thing. So if you have a 1 1 onto function, that will be what? Invertible. Okay, so this is, if f is invertible, f must be 1 1 and onto. Conversely, if f is 1 1 and onto, it must be invertible. Okay, this significantly help us to provide proving a function is invertible by showing f is 1 1 and onto, and specifically when actual inverse of f is not to be determined. So if someone asks you whether the function is 1 1 invertible or not, it's not saying that what is the inverse of that. So you can just see whether the function is 1 1 onto or not. If it is 1 1 onto, then we can say that that will be an invertible function. So in this example number 23, here you have a function from n to y. I don't know what set y is. We'll see it later on. It is defined by fx equal to 4x plus 3, where y is given, y is equal to x belongs to x, n, such that y is 4x plus 3. Okay, it is saying that y is the set of all range, all point in the range. Okay, you have to show that y is invertible and what is the inverse. So first of all, the domain or codomain of y is the range of y. So that means this is an onto function. Okay, now we have to show that this is invertible. So we have to find whether it is and we have to find out the inverse. Okay, so we consider an element y in capital Y, small y in capital Y, and define by this y equal to 4x plus 3 for some x in y. So you can see that for x equal to y minus 3 by 4, we have So we have x equal to y minus 3 by 4. Now you define a function g from y to n with g of y equal to what? Y minus 3 by 4. Okay, so if I define like this, you can find out that g of fx is what? G of fx, but fx is 4x plus 3. Now you g of this 4x plus 3 will be what? G of y equal to y minus 3 by 4. So you just write this thing in place of y. This will be this. Okay, so 4x plus 3 minus 3 by 4, which is equal to x. Similarly, f of g, use that 3. This will be y. Okay, and this shows that this is 1, this is 1. Okay, so this implies f is invertible and g is the inverse of f. Okay, so quickly we go through the rest of the examples. Okay, so example 4 is given there. Okay, then 25. After that, I think you have 25. 26 is also a good example. Okay, here you have a composition of 3 functions. Okay, you can see that composition of 3 functions are associative. Okay, that's not a big problem. I think you can go through it. So we'll do one such problem in the exercise section. Just now, for the sake of practice, you just try to write these things yourself and try to go through this. Okay, this theorem is this is the theorem which is inspired by the above example. So this is not very tough or something like that. So we have to show that 2 functions are equal, and 2 functions will be equal if their functional values are equal. So it is what? H of g of f and h of g of x. Okay, so they are very simple. Actually, you can just change the brackets and see the definition. You just apply the definition. Okay, so here you see h of g. Okay, so you just, this will be what? You first operate this o. If you operate this first o, so this will be what? H of g of f, this term. Okay, now this will be what? G of f of x for all value of x. So this will be the value. Now again this one. So first you operate this one. So this will be h of g of fx, which is again, now you apply it. Apply this o. Now this will be the by the definition of this composition of function, you get this one. So these 2 values are same. So therefore h of g of f is equal to h of g of f. Okay. So you can just try to see this definition example and understand a bit. Try to go through every examples I will just suggest you. And in our next video we'll be doing exercise number 1.3. Few problems I will do, and rest of the things you have to do. And I would like you to ask your doubts. Okay, you are not asking any doubts, so it doesn't inspire me actually. So I would like to have your doubts, more doubts. Okay, if you don't understand anything, you can just ask me. Okay, if you want my language to be changed, that too you can say. Okay, and I'm not very I'm very sorry for the audio quality of these videos are not very good. But what to say, this is due to the fact that I don't have required training, or I don't know how to record good videos, so I'm just trying my best.